Hello everyone, the December review here. We're just a few short weeks away from the return of And Just Like That, as Season 3 is set to debut on HBO Max on May 29th. So I thought it would be an interesting idea to start up the old DeLorean, get it to 88 miles per hour and head back in time to look back at the first two seasons presented in their own continuous video. And to really look back at Season 1, which debuted in December of 2021, we must go a bit further to 2017 when it was announced that the third film in the SATC series was officially not going to happen. This was mainly due to Kim Cattrall feeling that she had moved on from playing Samantha Jones, along with the continued behind-the-scenes angst between her and some of the cast. So And Just Like That was the result of the ashes of the original series, taking some of the third film's concepts and reworking it into the now Samantha-less next chapter in the SATC world. First season featured 10 episodes and takes place in current time, and it was pretty clear by the end of episode 1 that this was in fact a new direction for the franchise. SATC was renowned for its humor and shock value of the Manhattan world it built. AJLT was definitely the day after the after party. Life had settled for Carrie, Miranda, and Charlotte, and things were about to get dramatic. It featured new friends to meet and some really big changes for some of its main characters. Specifically Miranda, who decided to pull a 180 in every aspect of her life, and Carrie, who was shaken to her core before the credits rolled on the first episode. So for those who are new to the series or just want to go back before the third season hits, here are the December reviews recap videos all together for Season 1. Disclaimer here, it's real fun for me to watch these back with my cringe alert on 11. From shoddy editing, not being able to read the script correctly, butchering names, and bad hair days, which, if I'm honest, is pretty much every day. I do this for the fans of the series, certainly not my self-esteem. So, here is TDR's And Just Like That Season 1 Recap Marathon. Thanks for watching. And just like that, we're going to need a few of these. Hello everyone, the December review here, back again with a TV show review. Today, we have the first two episodes of the continuation of the HBO smash hit Sex and the City, repackaged as And Just Like That. Spoilers are ahead, so if you haven't seen the new show yet, please check that out first.
Oh, honey, I'm home.
I remember when you kept your sweaters in the stove.
There are always going to be roads not taken.
So you can't have it all?
No, you can. It's just really hard.
You're not happy with who you are? Step out of that box and change!
It's been 12 years since we last saw this cast together in the fun but somewhat underachieving second SATC film. And it's been 18 years since the final episode when the show ran for 6 seasons between 1998 and 2004. There was a prequel series on the CW network titled The Carrie Diaries, which ran for 2 seasons, but now the original stars are back to continue its original storyline in episodic format. Well, most of the cast is back. Kim Cattrall is absent after a very public divorce from the series with severe discourse between her and Sarah Jessica Parker. For fans of the show, it's unfortunate. The beauty of the series was having these 4 distinct personalities together, which gave the audience someone to identify with. Think of it as 4 puzzle pieces that fit together to create the full picture. Their friendship together as depicted on the show highlighted the many situations the story found itself in, which always came back to having their bond together as the show's foundation. But alas, things change, and just like that, picks things up with our now 3 leads, Carrie, Charlotte, and Miranda, still navigating their way through the busy Manhattan streets. The show wastes little time explaining Samantha's absence, as we find out in the first scene that Carrie has moved on from the column business, which in turn meant Samantha was no longer needed as her publicist, so she got upset and moved to London. What I found interesting, though, through these first 2 episodes is that they don't just explain this and sweep it under the rug. Samantha's presence is felt throughout. Carrie has moved on from her column and is now focusing in on, of course, podcasts, where she has a show with 2 others and is learning the ropes of the medium. Her and Mr. Big are still happily married and as charming together as ever. Miranda has taken a career swerve and has started a degree on human rights and begins to take her first class. She and Steve are navigating their way through parenthood and trying to make things work. Steve has lost a lot of his hearing, and Miranda appears to have taken up a bit of an alcohol issue. Charlotte is as neurotic as ever and still with Harry. Her oldest is performing at a recital and she really wants Carrie to go, even though her and Big have plans to go away. Charlotte convinces her to push the trip back, and that's where the story really begins, as the introductions are out of the way in episode 1. The final minutes spell out how and where this series is going in rather heartbreaking fashion. Fans of the series who follow along in interviews will no doubt know that the twist ending of episode 1 was long discussed throughout the years, so it shouldn't be a surprise overall. However, that doesn't make the departure of one John James Preston any less emotionally damaging. The lead up to this moment was exceptionally well crafted, and thankfully it was obvious within the first few seconds, so I didn't turn into a total mess. Just 2/3 of a mess. Series mastermind Michael Patrick King has said that he couldn't have returned to the series without a proper narrative for Carrie. His stance is that Mr. Big has always come and gone throughout her life, and that the overall theme is for Carrie to be able to stand on her own. It's as shocking of a TV moment that I can remember for a show that I've been following. I have mixed emotions on it. It's obviously sad to see Mr. Big go. The final moments of them together will be burned into my brain from here on out. When he tilts his head up seeing Carrie when she comes home, well, it's chilling. And I'm sorry, but why didn't Carrie pick up the phone immediately? I understand the show was going for the emotional lightning rod and she was obviously in shock. Come on, pick up the phone, Carrie. The show obviously takes a much more somber turn, with humor finding its way through the supporting cast, of which Anthony and Stamford are here and as charming as they ever were. The events only heightened with the recent loss of Willie Garson, which makes seeing Stamford in his glory a bit bittersweet, but a touching reminder of his greatness with the role. For the new cast members, we have Jay Diaz, the stand-up comedian / podcaster host who Carrie is teamed up with, and Nia Wallace, the professor for Miranda's class. Another theme so far seems to be finding your way through life in new situations. For Miranda, her new degree is met with some truly cringe-worthy moments. Her relationship with Nia is not off to a great start, and her drinking only seems like it's going to collide eventually for everyone. For Carrie, it's picking up the pieces of her life and finding a way to continue on. Miranda has already openly stated her regret for having Carrie go to the recital in the first place, opening up the door for Big to be alone at his final moment. Carrie showed frustration with this as well. It will be interesting to see if this manifests throughout the season or if that one moment was enough to get it out on the table. Which circles me back to Samantha. Like I said, they aren't ignoring the character so far. In episode 2, some flowers were sent over, and when it's revealed to be from Samantha, it was a stinging reminder and a moment of remembrance. She also texted Samantha to thank her, a text that has gone unanswered so far. I'm willing to bet a response will happen by the time the season is concluded. Speaking of which, it's time for me to throw out a big prediction for the show. I have nothing to base this on other than how nicely I feel they have dealt with the Samantha situation so far, as they haven't just removed her from the story and moved on like nothing happened. I'm glad they went this route, and it gives me an idea that somewhere around the final 10 minutes of the last episode, Samantha will appear back on the show. I know, it's probably not going to happen seeing how ugly things got in real life between everyone. But seeing how things have played out so far, a text back would be nice, but a walk-on would be a grand slam and show that people can work through their differences. Oh, and we better see Aiden at some point.
Hey, this is the designer. This is Aiden Shaw.
Hey, yeah, great stuff.
Oh, thanks, man.
So overall, and just like that, has thrown the SATC community into overdrive with its rather bold and emotional return. The series has always been a bit amplified with its selfishness, and that lives on in the lives of these characters to an extent. Outside of some really odd choices by Miranda that seem out of character, the show for me seems to have picked up gracefully enough from where it ended, even with the lack of now 2 major characters. Prior to the end of episode 1, there are some pretty good laughs to be found. Mr. Big gets some well-crafted lines.
I feel like that's a trick question.
It will be interesting to watch how things go now that the setup is complete. To say that they have gone out of their way to subvert certain expectations would be a fair assessment. On one hand, that's needed to keep the show relevant for its cast and crew, but as an audience member, it's tough to see someone like Big go, especially in such an emotionally done way. As Carrie asked way back in Season 6, Episode 3, can you get to a future if your past is present? It's an honest question, and one I am sure will be looked at as the series continues to evolve. For now, Carrie's future is at its biggest crossroads.
Just like that, after all the years and all the changes, you're still you.
Hello everyone, the December review here, back again with the TV show review. Today, we take a look at the 3rd and 4th episodes of And Just Like That. Spoilers are ahead, so if you haven't seen the show yet, make sure to check it out on HBO Max first. And if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel for more.
I can't sleep in here anymore. It's haunted. I'm selling our apartment.
It's gorgeous. It's all gotta go.
No one is touching the shoes.
Done.
So I was planning on doing bookend videos for the new SATC series, where I discussed the premiere, then circle back with a season wrap-up once all the episodes were released. But my first video, which you can check out here, has exceeded any expectations I could have imagined, so I figured let's keep this series going, and I want to say thank you to everyone who has taken a moment to watch that review. It's very much appreciated. When in Rome kicks off the 3rd chapter in our revival. We pick things up a few weeks from the events of episode 2, where Carrie is at the reading of John's will. We see that he has left $1 million to Natasha, his ex-wife, and this news throws Carrie's world into a deeper tailspin. Had Big and Natasha been in touch over the years? Was there more to the story? What was happening behind the scenes? Fans of the series will no doubt remember the discourse between the two. Way back in Season 2, Carrie bumped into the newly back in New York Mr. Big, only to find he was engaged to Natasha. In Season 3, Big and Carrie had a fling which ultimately destroyed their marriage. So with this news of the will, Carrie becomes obsessed, and in a routine that mimics her actions from the original series, she sets course to reach out to Natasha to find out what's been going on. She emails, DMs on Instagram, even shows up at her work, to no avail. It ends up being a chance encounter at a coffee shop where the two finally get to say their piece again. And what a moment it is. Natasha has always been on the bad side of this equation. Fans of the series have always rooted for Carrie and Big to prevail, casting Natasha aside as just a minor inconvenience for their path. Well, in the show's reality, their actions had real ramifications for her. It's easy to see why she would avoid Carrie. The truth is, she doesn't know why the money was left for her. They haven't spoken in years, and she will probably donate it all anyways. Their moment together was poignant, emotional, and showcased some excellent acting from its stars.
And I'm sorry as well. Oh, God, for everything.
I appreciate that.
For the rest of our leads, Charlotte finds herself dealing with an issue at home and also begins to wonder if Miranda has a drinking problem. Meanwhile, Miranda finds herself inspired after attending a stand-up show by Che. The episode also features a few excellent camera movements from its director, Michael Patrick King. Early on, we see Carrie and Miranda walking to the reading, and the location used is outstanding. The pair zip by multiple windows that overlook the city below. And later on at Natasha's work, Carrie is shown sitting down in a wide-angle shot while a movie screen-size outdoor portrait hangs behind her. And also near the end where Miranda finds herself with Che in a rather trippy moment. Great work from the director. The episode ends with Carrie deciding to go back to her apartment instead of her home with John. It's a bittersweet and emotional moment that plays to the new series arc for Carrie, one that sees her picking up the pieces of a world that's changed. I found we started getting some of the original spirit back of the show in this episode. It's obvious Carrie has a long way to go in her loss, but the interactions between the cast and rotating story points very much felt reminiscent of years past while forging ahead in this new foundation. There's a tender moment between Stanford and Charlotte where he implores her that he is part of their inner circle, and we see Anthony's makeshift work kitchen in a rather funny and delicate scene where he tries to talk through Charlotte's concerns. In episode 4, we begin to explore the new cast members a bit more while continuing on Carrie's journey. She has decided to move back to her old apartment and sell her home with John. This introduces us to Seema, the realtor who reimagines the house to attract a potential buyer. They bond over an argument where Seema inadvertently broke the glass on a picture frame of Carrie and Big, where Carrie lashes out and starts to see how things can be taken even if not intended to be insensitive. We spend a lot of time with Charlotte and Lisa Todd Wexley as the pair attempt to set up dinners to meet each other's circle of friends. Miranda also has her own dinner with Naya and their friendship begins to blossom. We learn more of Naya's backstory and how relatable it is for Miranda. And in a rather heartbreaking moment, we learn how the show handles the unexpected loss of Willie Garson, who passed during the filming of the new season. Stanford has left a note for Carrie that he has gone to Japan to manage a client. Anthony stops by to let us know that he also wants a divorce. Thank you, Willie, for your exceptional work on SATC, along with the many memorable TV and film roles over the years. And just like that, we have 4 episodes in the books for the revival. The show feels like it's finding its footing in terms of wanting to keep the original series vibe while forging a new path of diversity and understanding. While there have been moments that harken back to the past, the journey feels very much rooted in today and where these characters are now versus expectations and how they evolve. These past 2 episodes highlight the emotional, somber, and reflective path Carrie is on, complete with cigarettes and some old-fashioned favorites, but the seeds are sown for Carrie to learn a few new things along the way. As the new cast members settle in and the new story arcs unfold, and just like that, is finding its way through life so far.
Sir, I'm not trying to be unreasonable, but would you check again?
Found you. You did make a reservation.
Thank you.
At our San Francisco location.
Should I call him and tell him we're going to be a little bit late?
And just like that, oh boy, Miranda. Ooh.
She just Amazoned me. Amazon me. Did you just make that up?
I think so.
Hello everyone, the December review here, back again with the next installment of SATC AJLT. Spoilers are ahead, so make sure you check out the show first on HBO. Episode 5 has arrived and it's entitled Tragically Hip. We open with Carrie using an umbrella to get up her stairs due to her bad back. Seema insists that she sees a specialist, and sure enough, Carrie needs hip surgery. Meanwhile, Charlotte is taken back when she learns her daughter has given herself a new name. Her and Harry visit her school to have a discussion about Rose, now named Rock, and end up leaving more uncertain than before. For Miranda, the wheels are about to come careening off the tracks as her drinking and newfound feelings for Che collide inside Carrie's apartment. Episode 5 felt very much like a turning point in the season. Up until now, there have been a lot of moving parts, either with storylines or new characters. The series began again with such a huge emotional twist. It's tough to gain traction when you feel like you're trying to run in 3 feet of water. Those new ideas appear to have settled into the overall path the show finds itself in, and has given some answers to the questions that it's raised. Carrie's emotional journey from her loss seems to have evolved enough to where she can think forward versus the past. Charlotte's early overreacting chaos also seems to have subsided into a more rational scenario with Lisa and the committee. This allows her narrative to focus more on the changing landscape of her home. As for Miranda, she smashed through the walls of routine that's been holding her back and went straight into full-fledged blow-it-all-up mode. Miranda's had an interesting journey so far. Known to be the voice of reason for the most part on the show, her return has brought with it a bit of an anti-Miranda. One who has given up her career to start over and finds herself awkwardly walking through a new chapter a bit lost. She has given up trying to control her home life and instead exist within it, finding solace in Netflix, ice cream toppings, and the drink. But all of that collides in episode 5. After receiving a book on how to quit drinking, one she confides to Carrie she thought was Charlotte's doing, Miranda finds herself with Jay at Carrie's apartment while Carrie is sleeping, until she wakes up and finds herself in a rather uncomfortable situation needing assistance. The end result is a very upset Carrie and a very embarrassed Miranda getting things all out on the table. It's a game changer for Miranda, who's been holding things back for quite some time. It's also an extremely well-acted exchange between the pair as they fight back the tears. It's a pretty powerful moment.
What would I say? That I don't want to be this person anymore? That I want to be something more? That this isn't enough?
That is exactly what you should say.
Well, then I said it.
Her relationship with Steve has always been a bit rocky. The themes discussed in this new series have already been around since the first SATC movie. For Miranda, the episode ends with her realizing she in fact ordered that book in a late-night binge and flushes her remaining bottles down the sink. Chances are we're going to see more of a surefire Miranda going forward. The episode also brought with it a rather interesting Samantha exchange. I've already discussed how well I thought the show has handled Kim Cattrall's departure, choosing to keep the character going through text. In a nice surprise, we actually see the recent text exchanges between Carrie and Samantha as the two share a few real-time words with each other. While the characters certainly missed on the show, it's pretty cool to get these moments so far. And an added bonus, the music being played during this scene is definitely a version of the SATC theme song. It's a nice touch. Thankfully, we have Anthony here to step into that vacant role. We get a very funny lunch between all three leads and Anthony as the friends go over Carrie's surgery recovery process. It's these types of scenes that longtime fans will certainly get a good smile from.
Anthony!
What? She laughed! And this is my first solo lunch with you ladies. I've really got to bring it.
Must also be mentioned the continued great work from Evan Handler as Harry. He got some great material in episode 4, and here he shines again during the school visit. His believability, compassion, and comedic timing has always been a highlight since he first entered the show in season 5. So we are officially halfway through the new season. Right at the end of this episode, we ended up fast forwarding 3 months. So it will be interesting to see where some of these loose threads have found themselves next week. Are Miranda and Steve done? Have Charlotte and Harry found acceptance? Will Carrie bump into Aiden soon? I couldn't help but wonder.
Do you even own a flat shoe?
Yes, I bought a pair of Toms in 2007. But that was just because it made me feel like a good person.
Hello everyone, the December review here, back again. The heck? Where's that coming from? It's not the dishwasher.
What are we doing today?
Oh, no, we're doing him today.
Anthony Marantino, 10:45.
We are back with episode 6 of And Just Like That. Spoilers are ahead, so make sure to check out the series only on HBO. Coming off of the events of last week, we find Carrie apartment hunting as she settles on a new place alongside the Hudson, but isn't too sure about the purchase. Meanwhile, Miranda, who apparently hasn't mentioned her Che encounter with Steve yet, finds herself fixated on that moment while also talking with Naya about a building shelter renovation project. Charlotte is trying to keep her cool when she learns Rock wants to change her room, which includes removing her vintage doll collection and covering up a custom paint design. These are the basic plot points that make up episode 6, and scattered all around are some very well crafted, well acted, and funny scenarios for the cast.
There are two things no one should ever be talked into: love and ziplining. One of my most favorite Fendi sandals is still somewhere in that rainforest.
We find our leads' lives continuing to change. Carrie has quite the emotional journey here, as pretty much every scene she is in has some sort of major connection to it. Early on, we see her preparing a meal, which is a rare sight on its own, but it harkens back to her time with Big, especially from what we saw in the first episode. She finds herself at her storage building with Charlotte, looking for items to take home. When she opens up a box of records, her feelings come crashing back into near panic attack levels over her loss. She admits she thought she was doing well with things, but obviously when confronted with the tangible reminders, it's clear she's doing a good job of pushing things aside versus allowing it for it to be real. And who can blame her? I mean, there's no handbook on dealing with these things, and that emotional breakdown gives way to the episode's excellent ending, where during a montage, Carrie, back at the old place, not only starts opening up the past, but wears it out as well in an excellent final shot. It's a true sign of the inner strength of the character. There's another scene where our three leads are having lunch, and Miranda decides to tell Charlotte about her chain encounter. First off, when Miranda says she's going to tell her something, the reaction from Carrie is priceless, but the ensuing discussion turns heated as Charlotte disapproves of the news, resulting in Miranda walking away. Carrie jumps in with what could be the season's best line so far.
Stop, stop, stop. We already lost Samantha. I'm not losing anyone else. People are gone. Like in a second.
Meanwhile, Naya has dinner with some friends, and she is feeling the pressure of starting a family. The slightly awkward meal ends with a really well-done scene where Naya opens up about her apprehension to things. Her boyfriend gives another extremely well-written boost of encouragement, and Anthony asks Carrie to tag along to that plastic surgeon visit, which had been set up with Stanford. He's elated to hear that the doctor doesn't recommend much, but Carrie takes the bait and for a second contemplates having work done. Outside of the great humor to be found here, the situation lends itself to the bigger question of aging and insecurity that shadows the new season's characters. And it's another great showpiece for Anthony, who continues his excellent work once again.
Best consultation ever.
This was directed by Cynthia Nixon, who does some great things behind the camera. The episode opens up with Carrie looking at her soon-to-be ex-apartment, and the first shot of the New York skyline through the large windows as the camera moves into our characters is a standout shot. There's also a very subtle zoom-in on Carrie towards the end where she's opening up a box that really helps convey the emotion of that moment. So overall, episode 6 really covered a lot of ground and felt very detailed in its story. Most of the major plot points so far in the season were continued, and there's the dedicated emphasis on moving forward. The excellent wrap-up at the end with "I Can See Clearly Now" by Johnny Nash playing is at one point metaphorical and a timestamp on where we find our leads. For Carrie, she is unboxing her loss. For Charlotte, she is boxing up her past. And for Miranda, well, she's really sure that she doesn't know what to do. They say nothing lasts forever, dreams change, trends come and go. But friendships never go out of style.
What? You had a huge reaction.
Oh, of course I had a huge reaction. You knew? Say something.
Cheese? We had a big fight, but we're fine.
You're fine? You're fine with this?
No, she said we're fine, not I'm fine.
Are you not fine with it?
I don't even know what it is yet.
Well, I don't even know what it is yet either.
And just like that, remind me to never play mixed tennis with Charlotte. Yikes.
I will not apologize for playing good tennis. You're driving me f***ing crazy.
I imagine at some point you're gonna start dating again, right?
I mean, I'm not even thinking about that yet.
Hello everyone, the December review here, back again with the next installment of AJLT. As always, spoilers are ahead, so make sure to check out the show, only on HBO Max. Another week has gone by, and episode 7 felt very symmetrical in its story, with different couples sharing similar scenarios and awkward moments for everyone involved. I enjoyed it very much. Right off the bat, we get another time jump as we open to Carrie in her window plugging away on her new book. It felt like a year could have gone by, but going by Miranda's conversation with Che later on, it's been about another 3 months. So Carrie's book is done, and while her editor loves it, she feels it needs a bit more of a happier ending and encourages Carrie to find some hope, which results in her hitting the online dating scene. Miranda tries to spice things up with Steve, but instead the pair fumble over each other, leaving Miranda to question the relationship even more. Then that Che conversation happens, and they go from a one-time thing to a full-blown affair. And for Charlotte, well, she goes into full crazy mode while teamed up with Harry for a tennis match. Her ultra, and I mean ultra, competitiveness comes lashing out after she knocks him down. He spends the rest of the episode looking for an apology, but for Charlotte, in no uncertain terms, isn't giving him one.
Sorry. Not sorry.
Naya and Miranda bump into each other as their relationship becomes more involved. Miranda meets her husband Andre, and Steve meets Naya all for the first time. There was really a nice mix of funny and serious to be found here. The storylines once again continue to move along for all the cast members that were featured. For Carrie, getting a bit pushed into the dating scene has a twofold effect. One, it gives her book the ending it might need, while also allowing her to step outside the big bubble she is in, reconnecting with other people who may or may not have something they can offer. As for her first date, she chose Peter, who just so happens to be on his first date under similar circumstances. We don't get to see much of the details, just the meetup and the rather unfortunate ending where after a few too many drinks, they both lose it outside of the restaurant. Sure, it's rather gross, but I also laughed and it gave a very audible "oh man" at my screen. It's a well-timed sight gag. Later on, at a benefit charity auction where most of our leads are attending, Carrie sees Peter and tries to hide, sending Anthony around to see if he's left. She also happens to be part of the auction and bids begin on a lunch date with her. No one in the crowd is engaging, so Charlotte steps in first, outbidding herself in a rather funny moment before Carrie jumps in to save face. Well, as you could guess, the winning bid ends up going to Peter, so date number 2 is still to come. That auction scene had a lot of good going for it. It starts off with Lisa Todd Wexley and her husband hosting the event, and Lisa just can't seem to hold her microphone correctly. I was also convinced, and I mean convinced, that Aiden was going to be the final bid. They did a great job framing the moment where at first if no one jumped in, that would have been fine, but it was shot and edited perfectly with just enough tension and a surprise was bound to happen. I would have bet $100 it was Aiden, and I would have been out $100. Miranda's arc is becoming a bit more clear here, or at least a little more focused. The show seems like it's trying to keep Che a bit of a mystery to everyone. In the 3 months that's passed, Miranda's text had gone unanswered, leaving her a bit upset when the two do meet again. But we are swerved by Che, who seemingly didn't mean not to get back to her. She somehow missed it, and they pick up where they left off. It's unclear as of now Che's intentions in all of this, and just how we, the audience, should react to things. On one hand, if Miranda is so unhappy, following your heart is fine, but if all this is just a game for Che, then all that's really going to do is just hurt everyone involved, especially Steve. And judging by the preview for next week's episode, this situation is about to hit the fan. And I must say that Charlotte and Harry were standouts here. Her glorified maniacal behavior about not apologizing is equal parts hysterical and a bit of a side of the character we haven't seen much of. The excellent chemistry they have together shines during their scenes, much like Charlotte's reactions during the moment in the last episode when Miranda tells her about Che for the first time. Kristen's acting and timing is tremendous. Sprinkled throughout the episode are some other funny moments. We get a rather bizarre guy in a crosswalk who isn't too happy with Naya, and Anthony continues his excellent work here as well as getting a handful of great lines. He is definitely the show's MVP. And there's also a cool shot of the nighttime Manhattan streets outside Radio City Music Hall. So all in all, episode 7 was a highlight so far in the new season. I've enjoyed the entire revisit, and it feels like with each passing week it keeps hitting its stride. Sure, there are always a few things that could be worked on, like Carrie's constant one-upsmanship in regards to losing big, but The new cast, new storylines, and new struggles I feel are meshing very well together, and the show is doing a great job balancing the humor with the more emotional arcs. Will Miranda and Steve survive the chase storm? Will Charlotte ever apologize to Harry? And will date number 2 be a fit for Peter and Carrie? Well, I'm sorry, I can't. Don't hate me, because I'm still holding out for Aiden.
Why are you so quiet, Harry?
Well, don't you have something you want to say to me?
Like what?
Maybe I'm sorry?
Sorry for what?
You knocked me over, babe.
By accident.
Yeah, but you never even said sorry. It hurt my feelings.
Are you serious right now?
And just like that, poor Steve.
Who wants to be seen as the crazy neighbor, right?
I hear you.
Oh, hi.
Greetings.
Hello everyone, the December review here, back again with the next installment of AJLT. Spoilers are ahead, so make sure to check out the show only on HBO Max. Episode 8 is here, and let's jump right into the main event. Turns out Che thought her encounters with Miranda were on the up and up with Steve, but as she learns, that's not the case. So Miranda has a sit down with Steve and lets him in on everything that's been going on, from being unhappy, wanting a divorce, and of course Che. From there, she flees New York to Cleveland to let Che in on the news. The big emotional sit down has been weeks in the making. It's interesting to hear Steve say he thought that after so many years of trying to find their way together, that their relationship eventually clicked, and that he's been more than happy with the routine which has been driving Miranda away. To hear him mention that he's either not good enough or just good enough for her was a big line drawn back to the previous seasons. For her part, Miranda let some of that legal background come into the forefront, not leaving much room for debate or letting emotions bubble over as she spelled out her reasoning. Make no mistake though, it was a difficult watch. Steve has always been a great character to root for, even with his own past issues. I half expected him to agree that it was time for a break, but instead he walked the line between shock and bewilderment. The biggest emotional moment for me was when Miranda mentioned Che. You could feel the room well up as Steve's face tries to understand the news.
I want you to be happy, but I don't know what else you think is out there.
I've met someone.
Meanwhile, Carrie has a new downstairs neighbor, and the living arrangements haven't been going so well. With loud, late-night drunken conversations outside her window and even louder music blaring away, Carrie awkwardly tries to get a hold of the situation, while coming off like the elder disowner of fun. Now that is until she's witness to the neighbor's breakup at the end with her boyfriend, and the pair seemingly find some common ground. Things aren't going much better for Charlotte, who continues to fumble through some new parental situations. An awkward scene with Harry in the bathroom leads to a lunch with Lily that doesn't end very well. Charlotte freaks out over a private Instagram account, before eventually talking things through and learning a few things along the way. The episode's funniest moments come from our leads' lunch together. Charlotte tries to explain the Lily situation. The rapport between everyone was excellent and gave the show a lighter moment while we waited for the impending Miranda conversation. Carrie also had a subplot as she's begun archiving her vast clothing collection. She could open up her own store in Times Square with the amount she has on hand. She shows Seema a very special Versace dress, which also ends the episode.
And just like that, I realized there are some things that should never be put into storage.
The episode went briskly by as the major centerpiece was, of course, the Steve and Miranda conversation. Pretty much everything else could be put in the side story category, with little life lessons to be drawn from them. Carrie and Seema's friendship keeps feeling more comfortable as they continue their on-screen interactions. Their mutual love for all things fashion had some good one-liners, as too did Carrie struggle to want to appear cool to her new neighbor. Between her face mask encounter and then the full-on ridiculous smoking outfit, Carrie rolled with things in a very charming way. So we are in the home stretch for season 1 with just 2 episodes remaining. Where does the time go? Will Miranda find what she's looking for with Che? Or will this whole thing just be the driving force for her to once again appreciate what she had with Steve? And for that matter, will Steve once again step up and fight for Miranda, even though he said he doesn't have it left in him? Will Charlotte ever find the balance on keeping things cool in the landscape she continues to find herself in at home? And for Carrie, she seems to have found a bit of her groove back with the new friendships to keep her occupied. Will her impending redate with Peter help solidify her arc as the season begins to wrap up? Well, as we all know, when one door closes, the shoebox opens.
Bring Steve a fancy brownie for your dessert ritual tonight?
You think a caramel witch brownie might help the situation go better?
Couldn't make it worse.
How much is it?
You're exploding his world. Spend a couple bucks.
I'm not exploding his world. I'm telling him something we both already know.
And just like that, we only have 1 episode left.
So excited about your date with the teacher.
It is not a date. It is a do-over. Let's take the romance out of it.
I think you just did.
Hello everyone, the December review here, back again with the next installment of AJLT. Once again, spoilers are ahead, so make sure to check out the show, only on HBO Max. So the title for this week's episode is No Strings Attached, which is to take on the running subplot involving Charlotte and Lily, but it could have been called When Worlds Collide, because that's what happens here in this penultimate chapter. Carrie gets a gift from a new neighbor, which is a ring she was hoping would drum up some sales for her company. This kicks off a bit of a dilemma for Carrie as she ponders her wedding ring, first acting like she's going to take it off, but ends up adding John's ring instead. She also heads out to a club with Seema on her birthday, which doesn't end well when the pair get denied entry after trying to bribe their way in. Miranda spends some time with Jay, first having a meal at Manhattan's famous Empire Diner, before eventually dropping by Che's place unannounced. This kicks off a bit of drama for the pair, as Che wasn't as welcoming as Miranda was hoping for. Charlotte has a dinner inviting Anthony and his new date over, which turns into the episode's running scenario involving the aforementioned situation between her and Lily. But all that is the lead up to the big get-together where Miranda's building renovation project kicks in, finding most of our series regulars together, helping to paint a building and also pushing a few storylines further down the line. Episode 9 felt very much like a wrap-up and a setup at the same time. While no major plot points had an official conclusion, the needle moved just enough where a few of our characters found some space. It also created a few more questions, which adds to the anticipation for the upcoming final show. Our leads get teamed up. Carrie and Steve have 2 scenes together that really worked very well. Fans waiting to see the familiar Steve are in luck here, as his character so far in the new series has been a bit underwhelming, playing up the age factor and not getting too much screen time until last week's emotional sit-down with Miranda. Here, Steve asks Carrie a few questions about Jay, where we get Carrie awkwardly stepping into some paint. And a seriously bad footwear decision, by the way. While cleaning off said shoe, she loses John's ring in the sink, and while panic kicks in, Steve saves the day retrieving it in the drain, while also proclaiming that he will never take his ring off. It's a poignant moment on 2 fronts, as Carrie and Steve are going through similar scenarios in the form of the loss they have both received. Steve reconfirmed his bond for the marriage and family, regardless of Miranda's actions. For Carrie, this is the launching pad to taking her next step and moving forward by taking the rings off. 2 similar scenarios, 2 different reactions, and some excellent writing. Naya and Andre are also here, and their relationship takes a bit of a sharp turn. After seeing Hebert Wexley and his family together, Andre brings up the topic to Naya, who thought they were on the same page. Turns out Andre isn't so sure he doesn't want a family, putting a big question mark over their relationship. And Seema has a run-in with a club owner during the building project event, setting up the often talked about boyfriend for the character.
Excuse me. What is all this stables and trucks and crap everywhere? And why are you asking me?
For Miranda and Che, the mixed message game continues, as the couple exchange their own conflicting emotions. Everything seemed fine at that first get-together, but when Miranda stops by with cookies unannounced, Che isn't so responding, which entertains the idea that she was with someone else. And Che does proclaim that they are exclusive, but reminds her to drop any preconceived notions on what a relationship is. Which is ironic, as the usually by appointment only Miranda, well, she isn't one to just drop by anyways, further confusing the issue for her. She does get a great freak-out moment and proclaiming she isn't Meg Ryan.
Sorry. Have your night. I shouldn't have come. F***ing stupid. Who am I? Meg Ryan?
The extremely underused Anthony pops in for that quick dinner scene, and also for a very funny moment where he needs to be the delivery driver for his company. He seriously needs his own spin-off show. Make it happen, HBO. Carrie does have that second date with Peter, well, sort of. They meet up for the date, but Carrie isn't ready for it, and the pair conclude that the timing is just off, so they part ways. But when Carrie decides to remove her rings, she also decides that maybe that third time's a charm, setting up another get-together for the grand finale. Overall, the episode once again felt right in line with the rest, not straying too far from its intentions while continuing to push our leads a bit further one step at a time. The continued use of subtle parallel subplots is a nice touch. It'll be interesting to go back and re-watch the season all in one sitting to see how much more of the ideas were weaved together. I thought Carrie's second date was very well constructed. With Peter's jokes missing the mark, Carrie was interesting and honest about her thought process. The concept of moving on was touched upon in a rather nice way. Peter himself conveys his feelings while saying that maybe his dating is a way to cover up for his loss. So here we are with just one episode left. I didn't see a trailer for it, so it looks like it'll be all surprises to end things. These promos have done a good job editing the scenes so they throw off any conclusions we can gather before each episode. For instance, it seemed like that Che conversation was lining up to be in Cleveland, but instead that encounter goes unanswered. Once again, will Charlotte find some inner peace at home? Will Miranda and Che take the next step together? Will Naya and Andre find common ground? For Carrie, her slow journey through her loss has evolved throughout the season. Things aren't set up for a big shocking finale, which can only mean that next week anything can happen. Or Aiden thing can happen. For Carrie, her theme has been centering her own world with the help of her friends. And remember, the most exciting, challenging, and significant relationship of all is the one you have with yourself.
Okay, what's happened to my life? Now I'm waiting in a line to paint.
Go. You don't have to stay.
No, it's for a good cause. And I heard about this Lebanese restaurant in the area for lunch. So how long do we have to pretend to paint?
Seema, I am not pretending to paint. I'm here to work. Look at me. I'm wearing overalls.
I see that.
And just like that. Huh. Must be an old wire.
Why can't I choose love over an internship?
Of course you can. Why do you care what anyone thinks?
Because you're not anyone. You're you.
Hello everyone, the December review here, back again with the final episode for Season 1 of And Just Like That. Spoilers are ahead, so make sure to check it out only on HBO Max. It's been a fun past few months as the SATC world has returned. This new chapter brought with it some changes, both good and bad, but the heart of the show stayed consistent with the bond of our now 3 lead characters lighting the way for its fan base all these years later. I want to mention right off the top here that I owe a big and huge thank you to the YouTube channel Sex and the City Clips. They shared all of my videos each week with their vast community, and their influence on this channel was immense. I gained many more views than usual and a bunch of new subscribers, all thanks to them. So thank you, I appreciate it. If you are one of those new friends, thank you for stopping by. This channel can have a mix of mainstream and horror-related content that I try to balance out for everyone. And while we wait for Season 2, please leave a comment on what other shows you would like to see discussed here. Okay, so let's get down to business. For episode 10, entitled Seeing the Light, we open up with round 3 between Carrie and Peter, which manages to go off without a hitch, but for Carrie, also without a spark. Carrie also has a meetup with John's brother, who requests his ashes to go with him. And as we approach the 1-year anniversary of the loss of Big, this kicks off a string of events where Carrie's lamp starts acting up, and she's convinced it's John sending a message. After a dream she has, Carrie decides that their bridge in Paris will be his final resting spot. Meanwhile, Che invites Miranda to meet her family for dinner, but the event takes a turn as it's actually a gathering for Che to announce that they are going to California to film a TV pilot. Che asks Miranda to join them, so she nixes her sought-after internship and lets Naya know she's finishing her class remotely. For Naya and Andre, after the events of last week, which saw the pair clash on whether to continue to start a family together, the couple has decided to take a bit of a break, allowing some space away from each other to see if that can help bring their opposing views into focus. And for Charlotte, well, it's all about Rock's bat mitzvah, or they mitzvah as it were. No stone was left unturned as all the stops were pulled to create an elaborate and memorable ceremony and celebration. From coffee hour to a full candy bar to hipster and traditional challah bread, the biggest they mitzvah event of the century ends up with one small problem. Rock decides they don't want to do it, so the day becomes Charlotte's as she steps in and performs the service herself. I must say the rabbi character for the they mitzvah was excellent, and so was Harry trying to bribe Rock to have her service.
What do you want, Rock? You want an Oculus? An Apple Watch? What's it gonna take?
What I love about well-made shows such as AGLT and its final season episodes is the anticipation the show brings with it. You never really know how it's going to end, and that build-up can be a thrilling experience for the viewer, especially during the final 10 minutes. Here, that feeling was ever present as the storyline started wrapping up one by one until we hit the credits. There wasn't anything too surprising per se that happened here. It was mostly a continuation of all the parallel stories during the season's run. It seems Seema has found her missing piece with her new friend, tidying up her storyline quite well as she explores the new relationship. Her quick convo with Carrie left things off on a nice touch. She asks Seema not to forget about her. Naya and Andre bow out separated for now, but you can tell with how well they clicked early on in the season that their alone time will most likely end with a reconciliation. Anthony once again gets some of the funniest moments, first with a one-on-one with Rock when he learns that they are way behind on their studies. His stern talking to was pitch-perfect Anthony, and he also pops in at the ceremony to deliver the bread in another funny scene. I mentioned this in my last week's episode, and I'll say it again. He deserves his own show. Anthony in the City. Make it happen, HBO.
Do you even own a flat shoe?
Charlotte continues to shine and gets a great moment to poke fun at herself when Lisa asks her if she's insane for having that candy bar. Well, she proclaims she passed insane like 3 months ago. She sure has, and her character really stood out for me during the season. I didn't feel like Charlotte changed much from the person we remember on the original show, but her surroundings did. No longer playing the field or having to do battle with the likes of Trey and Bunny, Charlotte has settled into her family with Harry, and those changes brought with it new challenges. The season spent most of her time throwing one new issue after another at her. The beauty of the Charlotte character is that she is so wonderfully overprepared for any situation that she can expect, that when she's met with a circumstance outside of those parameters, it's almost like a wire gets cut and she flies off into short circuit mode, usually with a comedic outcome. With new twists to deal with every week, these moments built up quickly for Charlotte, and she was able to pull from those experiences and learn from them while still maintaining her fairy tale viewpoint. Hats off to Kristen Davis for her excellent work in this season. Miranda's journey was a bit more complex. She has another great semi-argument with Carrie here, where after she tells her of her plans to go to California, she has the right to make these new choices in her life, just as she can change them back again if she so desires. Well, while that notion of trying to put some things back together isn't entirely up to her, She is entirely correct to stand up for what or who she believes in, even if that appears to be so different at times than some can handle. Following the show, along with being on social media, you couldn't help but see the backlash that Miranda as a character faced during the season. I always felt that this was a bit unwarranted. Yes, the show went out of its way to paint Miranda in such a different light than what fans remembered, and I was unsure of that direction as well at the start. But the end game was always for these people to evolve and continue on with what life throws at them. For Miranda, it was a litany of new directions, from her career to her marriage, mixed with a few too many drinks. Her arc became clear. She went from following the rules to following her heart in a world of uncertainty. It might not always be the safe bet, might not always be the right choice, but it will always be her voice that guides the way. Oh, and it was nice to see that familiar hair color once again.
Miranda, I have known you for 100 years.
And? Am I not allowed to change a little bit? Or a lot? Or change back again if I feel like it? Do I have to follow my own rigid rules until the day that I die?
I never said that.
Then why do I feel like I can't go to LA without letting you down?
If you want to go to LA, go to LA. Why do you care what anyone thinks?
Because you're not anyone. You're you.
For one Carrie Bradshaw, well, she certainly had enough to contend with herself. Samantha moving away, a podcast, a new book, a new apartment, back to her old apartment, back to her old apartment again, a new neighbor, a new friend, surgery, an old lamp, and all clouded with the haze and uncertainty at the passing of her husband. I must say that the wrap-up for Big was pretty well done, even with the noticeable edits that were made recently. The whole thing regarding the lamp was very well constructed, as too was the music and voice cues throughout her dream and trip to Paris. Between the "Hello, it's me" and John letting her know she's free, it was a rather emotional ending to that narrative. Though I must say they should have had one of those bridge light posts blink when she was there on the bridge. It's a missed opportunity. In my first video, I made some predictions for the show. Let's take a look to see how well I did. And it gives me an idea that somewhere around the final 10 minutes of the last episode, Samantha will appear back on the show. Oh, and we better see Aiden at some point. Okay, so I didn't exactly guess correctly. I knew it was just hope from a fan to see Kim surprise everyone at the end. I didn't expect it to actually happen, though, but I must say when Carrie was in Paris texting with Samantha, that tension was great, and I was holding out hope. But after reading some recent interviews today with Sarah and Michael Patrick King, it doesn't appear as if a reconciliation is much closer than it was before. To be fair for Aiden, John Corbett said months ago that he was in several episodes, so I fully expected him to show up at some point. The creative team is even on record as saying he owes the fans an apology for lying about it. I find the whole situation very odd, but regardless, much like my baseball career, I was 0 in my predictions. So overall, I was a big fan of the new version of the show. They definitely threw a bunch of new ideas and characters at us early and often, creating a lot of buzz for the show, good and bad. That tapered off with the second half of the season, allowing for those concepts to slowly weave themselves to the season's end. Some of the overall highlights were the more emotional moments, particularly the scene between Carrie and Natasha, Carrie and Miranda after her surgery, and Carrie and Miranda again during the lunch outside Carrie's brief new apartment. Also, the ending of episode 6 was a standout. The acting and writing was particularly great in those moments, and the camera work from its various directors really used the New York scenery to its advantage at times, with wonderful flourishes of the city's landscapes. I can go on and on about more of my favorite moments in the show, and maybe soon I'll do just that in another video, so stick around for more SATC content down the line. The beauty of SATC was the way it was able to bring its characters' lives into our homes in a relatable way. Sure, sometimes things were a bit exaggerated, but its core audience became friends with these people, and it became must-see TV. As the years have passed, our lives have changed, and for Carrie, Miranda, and Charlotte, so have theirs. I'm grateful that the cast and creative team were able to open up the pages again to bring some much-needed joy to the world by revisiting some of our friends that we hadn't seen in a while. I thoroughly enjoyed And Just Like That, would highly recommend it, and eagerly await the green light for Season 2. Much like that Anthony spinoff, make it happen, HBO. So Charlotte's ceremony went off as a success, as she has a peaceful home life for now. Miranda is flying off with Jay to start a new chapter, and Carrie has come out of the other side of her tragedy with a new podcast and spark. Well, maybe the past is like an anchor holding us back. Maybe you have to let go of who you were to become who you will be. Thanks for hanging with me during Season 1. Till next time.
Well, that's it for my very first podcast. I'll get better. So, till next time, I'm Carrie Bradshaw, and this is Sex and the City.
I don't know if I want to quit that. I've never felt like that in my life.
Tell you something, and you're gonna have a big reaction, and I'm asking you not to.
Okay.
Did I kiss you hello yet?
I want you to be happy, but I don't know what else you think is out there.
I've met someone.
Hello everyone, the December Review here, with the recent announcement that the Sex and the City continuation and Just Like That has been picked up for a second season. I thought it would be a good time to go back and take a look at some of my favorite moments from Season 1. SATC fans were ecstatic when the news broke that the show would be coming back. The long-running HBO series' popularity had continued over the years since the second feature film concluded back in 2010. Armed with the majority of series regulars back to take on the busy Manhattan streets, AJLT was missing one important ingredient as Kim Cattrall decided not to return as Samantha Jones after a very public split from the show. Debuting in December of 2021 and Just Like That opened to the highest number of viewers HBO Max has seen and continued to be its highest rated show ever on the platform during its 10-episode run. So even with its very public detractors, it's no surprise that Season 2 is a go. Overall, I enjoyed the show very much as it challenged its own expectations, deciding to head down new paths of its already established world. It wasn't perfect, but I thought it worked. So with that said, let's take a look back with 10 of my favorite moments from Season 1. Number 10, the beginning. So right off the bat here, I'm going with the first scene of Episode 1. After nearly 12 years since we last saw Carrie, Charlotte, and Miranda, we open to some familiar music and are reintroduced to our leads. The Samantha situation is answered as quickly as you could get. Welcome back, SATC.
Jeremy, party of five.
That's us.
Oh. Excuse me. Woo. Remember when we had to legally stand 6 feet apart from one another?
Yeah, I miss it.
Oh, excuse us. Sorry.
Number 9, Harry bribes Rock. For number 9, we go from the first episode to the final, where we find Charlotte and Harry in a bit of a bind with Rock. This theme was a consistent one throughout the season as the couple tried to navigate through new parental situations. In the finale, Rock is set to take the stage for a day mitzvah, but decides they don't want to go through with it at the last minute. With the banquet hall full of people and no expense left unturned, Charlotte ends up stepping in for Rock to save the day. But not before Harry tries everything he can in a quick but funny moment of despair.
What do you want, Rock? You want an Oculus? An Apple Watch? What's it gonna take?
Number 8, the picnic fight. It's safe to say that Carrie and Miranda didn't see eye to eye at times during the season. The pair had a few heated exchanges, including this one from episode 6. Here, Miranda tells Charlotte about her affair with Jay, and the resulting conversation ends up with Miranda walking away. One of the better aspects I enjoyed with the show is its willingness to get serious as it dealt with some pretty heavy themes. Carrie steps in to try and get everyone back on the same page in a very well-written moment.
Miranda, stop. Come on, stop. We already lost Samantha. I'm not losing anyone else. People are gone. Like in a second. You can disagree, but you can't leave.
I'm sorry. I want to understand.
Well, when you do, maybe you can explain it to me.
Number 7, the lamp. For number 7, we are back to the finale where an ongoing story involves the odd behavior of Carrie's table lamp. This thing starts acting up and Carrie realizes it must be some message from Big. After taking it to a repair shop where it has its wires fixed, the magic lamp seems to be back to its old self and Carrie just made the whole connection up in her head. Or did she? The spiritual connection with the lamp acted as a nice segue to conclude the Carrie and Big storyline, resulting in a trip to Paris to say goodbye one final time.
If you're trying to reach me, blink. That is so you.
Number 6, the fashion. Another hot topic for fans of the series is the ever-changing and dramatic looks from its leads, with Carrie's personal wardrobe rivaling a trip through Broadway. Whether it's a night out on the town or a trip around the block for a smoke, AJLT brought its designer A-game.
Hello.
It's Anthony.
Oh, good. I thought you were a phone solicitor. Who wants to be seen as the crazy neighbor, right?
I hear you.
Oh, hi. Greetings.
And just like that, I realized there are some things that should never be put into storage.
Look at me. I'm wearing overalls.
I see that.
Later, I was back in heels.
Number 5, the Natasha situation. For episode 3, Carrie finds herself in some familiar territory as her life is interconnected with Big's ex-wife, Natasha. After learning John left her $1 million in his will, Carrie is convinced that there is more to the story that she isn't aware of. Had they kept their relationship going behind her back, why would this be? Carrie attempts to track down Natasha in various ways, which only led her to becoming increasingly neurotic. That tension spilled over when the pair finally beat up, and the resulting conversation was a rather emotional on-screen moment of this long-standing SATC narrative.
Do you think maybe we could just talk just for a minute?
I don't have a minute. No, I am not doing this. I cannot think about you anymore. I am done thinking about you. I've already given you more minutes of my life than you ever deserved.
Yes, you have. I agree.
Number 4, couples tennis. In episode 7, we get a look into the ultra-competitive side of one Charlotte York Goldenblatt. Charlotte and Harry are having an afternoon of mixed tennis with Lisa and Herbert Wexley. After a moment where Harry tells Charlotte not to hold back, the ensuing match point is won by Charlotte, but not before taking Harry out to make the play. For the rest of the episode, Harry won't stop looking for an apology from her, and it's Charlotte's reluctance to do so that really stands out. I thought this whole thing was very funny and showcased a different side of Charlotte we usually don't see. Plus, it's always great to see the pair on screen together as they have excellent chemistry.
It's common courtesy.
We were playing tennis.
And there's no rule against the word sorry in tennis.
I went for the ball, which you had literally just mansplained me to do.
Wait, what now?
You heard me. You can be a bit of a mansplainer, but I had let it go on the court because you're my partner and you have to let the annoying stuff go if you want to win.
And we did win, but I got knocked down in the process, and I'm just asking for a simple apology.
That's insane. I'm not apologizing.
What's the big deal? It's 2 words.
You're making it a big deal by bringing it up in the first place.
I could argue that you're making an even bigger deal by refusing to apologize. Why is this so hard for you?
Because I have nothing to apologize for.
Number 3, Anthony. While the series drove down some darker subject matters including loss, grieving, alcoholism, and cheating, the humor was still front and center for the new season. And while everyone had moments to shine in the comedy department, no one did it better than the brilliant Mario Cantone as Anthony. Always a highlight on the show in previous seasons, Anthony took things to a new level of funny. In almost every episode, he would pop up at the perfect time with either a snarky one-liner, words of wisdom, or just be reassuring company. At every turn, it was usually hilarious. From his new bakery store to the first time out eating with the crew, lecturing rock, or visiting plastic surgeon, Anthony was consistently great.
Come on. We are thrilled that you found an archaeologist to saw your old carcass open and try to put those sanded down fossils inside you back together.
Anthony.
What? She laughed. And this is my first solo lunch with you ladies. I've really got to bring it.
Number 2, Carrie and Miranda square off. Episode 5 brought us maybe the biggest emotional moment of the season, if not one of the most emotional scenes in the entire show's run. After having hip surgery, Carrie finds herself with some around-the-clock assistance from her friends. Unable to even get out of bed without help, Carrie dozes off while Miranda keeps watch. Che stops by for a surprise visit, and the hinted at flirting between Che and Miranda goes off the tracks after some shots and some smoke, sets the stage for a supercharged scene. Carrie wakes up to find Miranda having her affair, and after a rather awkward few moments, her and Miranda have it out. It's as well acted and written as you can get as these longtime friends start to unravel the ever-changing place Miranda finds herself in.
I'm unhappy. I'm unhappy. Okay? I'm trapped. I hate my marriage. I hate it. I hate my life. I hate it.
Since when?
Since... forever?
No, that's not true.
It feels like it is.
Why didn't you say something?
What would I say? That I don't want to be this person anymore? That I want to be something more? That this isn't enough?
That is exactly what you should say.
Well, then I said it.
Number 1, opening the door. Episode 6 provided a turning point for its characters, and the final few minutes put the exclamation point on its direction. Charlotte was having a difficult time with all of the change that was going on at home. Miranda came to the conclusion that she needed to move on from Steve and contact Jay. And while she thought she was doing better, Carrie was flooded with an emotional wave after visiting her storage. All of these things were able to find some breathing room in the episode's conclusion, as the familiar refrain of "I can see clearly now" hangs over the proceedings. Our slightly lost group finds some clarity and even some hope as the episode wraps up. Just to make sure we are well aware of where we find these characters, Carrie walks down the steps inside her apartment, John's jacket in tow, and walks through the door into the light, signaling the next chapter for our cast. So there are some of my favorite moments from And Just Like That Season 1. There are more I could mention, and while we wait for Season 2, stick around for more AJLT videos down the line. If you like this video, please subscribe to the channel and let me know your favorite moments from the show in the comments section below.